Before I had my fourth grade goals, and they were by the end of the year. By the end of fourth grade, I wish I will know all of my multiplication facts from 1 to 12, because I'm not really good at my 12 times table. And my plan to achieve this is I will ask my dad if there is another way of remembering the 12 times table, and we can practice it on the car.
Okay, now my question to you, that was the goal you set at the beginning of the year. How did you do with that?
Well, I did very good. If I did something wrong, I would be corrected, and my dad would help me have a way to remember it, and we would practice on the car so I could get it in my mind.
Do you feel like you know your basic facts 1 through 12?
Yes.
Good.
Another one is by the end of fourth grade, I would like to see my spelling change from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And my plan to achieve this is keep spelling words I don't know, or ask my dad to say a word on the car and I will spell it. And
tell me about your spelling.
Well, I've done very good with my spelling, I've noticed, because if I don't know a word, I would either ask my dad or try to look it up in the dictionary.
You must be busy with her asking you all these questions.
Yeah.
Are you able to guess at words?
Sometimes I get it right, but then sometimes there's maybe tricks in the words that I don't know. My final goal was by the end of fourth grade, I would want to see good grades on my report cards. My plan to achieve this is I will behave and not get easily distracted in class.
How did you do on your report cards?
I did very good on my report cards, and yay! And the way I got to get good grades is like if there's a person that might talk to me or something, I would sit away from them and concentrate on what we're doing.
One of my fourth grade goals was I want to know my multiplication facts from 1 to 12, and I didn't really improve that goal because I had a lot of other stuff to worry about, like in math, so I didn't really have time to study it, but I got up to 8.
Oh, that's really good.
And then another one is I want to know like around the school and have lots of friends, and I accomplished that because I'm usually around lots of people, and then I see them at recess or on the bus, and then I just get friends.
Miss Watson read us a very good book. It's called, she told us, it's called The Fisherman and His Wife, and we had to do it begins first, next, finally, and it ends. And you put it together and it makes one story. And the story I chose was The Green Frogs, and that's exactly what I did. It begins first, next, finally, and it ends.
Okay, and then you told your tale. Now, your dad wasn't there at the Storytelling Festival, but did you get a chance to see the videotape?
Yeah,
Did she show you that?
Yeah.
She's quite a dynamic storyteller. What did you love about storytelling?
I liked how you could do different voices for the characters. It was really fun because first you got a little high-pitched voice, and then you got, oh no, what are they doing?
And you get to be everything at once.
Yeah.
Your story changed when you had an audience. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Why do you think that was?
Maybe it's kind of different from telling it to your classmates and then telling it to parents where you don't really know them, and maybe you get a little nervous because you're like staring at the people that you don't know. But what really helped me was looking at our classmates, and it could really help me.
Okay. It was very fun. You did a wonderful job. I'll never forget it. She was just very funny. You had everybody laughing.
Well, before I chose The Green Frogs, I read different books, and but I chose The Green Frogs because I really liked it. I read Ben Willie and the Zimwi, The Frog Prince Continued, The Wise Queen, Snow White, Bambi, The Daughter and the Son of the Moon, The Number 11 Child, The Eagle and the Baby, The Spanking Switch, 100 Head of Cattle, How the Cracks in the Tortoises Shell Became to Be, and The Golden Child and the Silver Child.
The stories that you read are very different one from the other. They're not all the same style, right? You have some fantasy, you have folklore in there, you have like fairy tales in there. You have some pourquoi tales, which we didn't really talk about in class in there, that explain things like legends. That's really neat. Why did you choose the green frogs out of all that?
Well, the others, I liked them, but they kind of were really serious, and I don't really like serious stories. And the other ones, like Snow White and Bambi, they're really common. I wanted to tell a story that wasn't really common, but I know that Yuri and Amrita told it, but they weren't like the very same.
Yeah.
They were a little different, so I was happy with the story I told.
The November one, I usually read about like 95 minutes or like 130 minutes. But 130 was like the farthest I ever went, usually for each week. But then with the May reading contract, I went to like, where was it? June? Yeah, it was June that I like went to 150.
Wow, so you're reading for longer periods of time.
Yeah.
What about the numbers of books you're completing? Look on the back. Did you keep track of the books that you read?
Yeah.
Has that changed at all?
So in
It's hard to compare because sometimes we read short books.
November, I read. Yeah, it's November. So I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books.
And were they all novels or were some of them picture books?
You can see the total of pages.
Well,
So,
most of them were, but one only had like 56 pages.
That's pretty good. Though. That's a lot of reading. Good. And what about in May?
this is
Yeah, I read Take North of Neverland and Number the Stars, but they were longer books.
Interesting. So it's not that you're completing more novels, but you're reading books that are longer and probably more challenging
Yeah.
than in September. October. That's really neat to be able to chart that, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's it for reading.
And for writing, I included my K-Buddy story. And my K-Buddy story was I have a Kinder Buddy, his name is Sahil, and we gathered information about him and wrote a story about the things he likes. Like right here, we collected information like, in my story I have his favorite place to eat is Taco Bell's. And I have Taco Bell's in my story, and he'll explain what Legos I have that in.
We did Father's Day books for our dads, and I chose it because I thought it was a very important topic, and I knew my dad would love it, and because I liked it.
Did you?
And yeah,
Oh boy,
he
did it.
cried when he saw it.
Oh.
So
I was blown away.
So we just did we did a dedication page, we did a table of contents, and we did poems and we illustrated around.
Beautiful.
And then at the end, if we wanted, we wrote a letter.
Can I see what you did for the end? I never saw the end of your book.
I just do a picture. I just put a picture.
Oh, I bet he loved that.
Yes.
Can you choose one of the poems you wrote that you feel particularly fond of that you could share with us? I know you wrote a lot of fabulous poetry.
Yeah. I feel like I really like the spiders one that I wrote, but it's sort of short.
That's okay. I love how you use different colors too. That's nice.
Thank you. And then I got a person electrocuted. Okay, spiders. How does it feel to have to hide all the time? Like building your web, I mean, that's not a crime. People destroy webs without a second to spare, especially when spiders are crawling in their hair.
And for social studies, we did tug of war. And that was really fun because tug of war taught us about the Revolutionary War, of how the blue team and the red team. The red team was the British, the blue team was the colonists.
Can you explain that to your dad?
And they had a Revolutionary War, and the way we acted it out, we had tug of war, and it could kind of show that the colonists had more people, And so we polled and we polled, which means the colonists fought and they fought kind of like that, and they won. And the British side lost, and their prize was freedom. But and
Can I ask you a question though? You said they had more people in the colonies, and so they were able to pull and to win this war. What advantages did the British side have, or the blue team? Do you remember in the tug of war?
They were trained, I think it was, because they had soldiers, but the colonist side had more people, but they weren't trained.
Right. So what did we do to represent trained? Because no one in our class was trained for tug of war. What did we do to represent that stronger army? Do you remember?
I think it was more people came up after we started pulling, maybe.
Think strong. Did you notice that the blue team happened to be the biggest kids in our class?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And what about the red team?
The red team had smaller kids, like, I think I was on the red team.
I think you were.
Yeah.
So did you feel like your team was going to win at first?
Not really, because first we would have, I thought that if we had to start off pulling and then they all of a sudden got more people coming, I thought we were going to lose, but then I noticed we have more people than them. So we started pulling and pulling and we won.
And how did the Revolutionary War turn out?
It turned out that the colonists did win and their prize was freedom.
Why do you think they won? What do you think the main reasons were? Because
I think they had tactics.
tactics?
Yeah, the guerrilla tactics and everything like that. They had more people, but they weren't trained. They were smaller, so that kind of shows that they weren't trained. And but the British side, they were trained, but there were less people. Because
What happened for the British when they needed more supplies? What did they have to do?
they had to walk all the way to a far place and then get their supplies and walk back.
Well, where is the British team from? Could they really walk there? Where are they from? England, right?
England.
So it took a long time for them to get their supplies. And then, remember there was that big battle, and then suddenly the colonists had allies.
Yeah.
What's an ally?
Allies, people that came in the war at kind of like the end, I think it was. And they came in and they helped the colonists, and they helped them by giving them guns and everything, I think it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Americans really owe it to their allies. If the allies hadn't come, they don't think they would have won the war.
Yeah.
So it really was helpful to have friends.
And the next topic is science. And I chose the house building and wiring. And I chose it because it was fun, and I thought it really taught me like about electricity and stuff, and about how it works.
Not only that, but you got it. Once you got it, you also helped a lot of people. Do you think
Yeah.
at the end of this unit you totally understand how to make a complete circuit?
Yeah, I know how to make complete circuits and stuff, but the thing that was sort of hard was how we had to connect all of the wires, like bring them to each other and connecting them.
You mean to meet the
with-
battery?
Yeah, like with the wire nuts and stuff. And I didn't bring it because we have it at home and I showed you it.
What did you think of her house?
Oh, I thought it was amazing.
But
And
my dad helped me with it because it had a broken light bulb and I didn't know that he knew how to do that stuff. I made some 5th grade goals like for next year, and I want to learn more about electricity, and even though I already do, I want to know more because I think I will, because I really like the topic and think I will accomplish it because it's something I really want to do, and if I put my mind to it, I think I can really do it.
Wow, that's really neat. Jessica, you're not going to have electricity in 5th grade science.
No.
I know, but you have really cool stuff in 5th grade, so they don't have time for that. But you are so lucky because you have an uncle who's an electrician. So if you do want to learn more about it, I wonder if there's a way you can ask him questions and find out more.
he'll love to share.
I hope I won't forget my 12 times table because It goes through my mind like you hear it and then it goes out through the other ear.
How are you going to make sure you don't forget them?
Practice, practice, practice.
Does she do that in the car?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Excellent.
I hope I can spell harder words like appreciation. Yay, I spelled it right.
How did you spell it?
Appreciation.
Terrific.
Yeah, actually, I didn't know she was so interested in science. You know? Yeah.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah, maybe the topic is making houses.
Yeah.
Making torch. Those kind of things.
The house was amazing, and I couldn't get over, how she really understood all the way she was explaining how it was done, how to get the electricity to work, and she really loved coming to school every day. My husband and I said to her, looked at her report card, and we said, "Wow, Jessica, you were out of school for 2 days the whole year, and that was the 2 days we took you out before spring break to take you to Disney World."
Dear.
And, yeah, it was our fault that she didn't have the perfect attendance. And I remember days when, she'd get up and she's like, "I don't know if I have a scratchy throat," and then she's like, "But, I'm going to school today because, I want to miss school." She loved coming to this classroom every day, and to us that was so important because she just loves school.
Or her growth or her goals or anything like that?
Yeah, I think she learned a lot, from this class, from you, Yeah, I'm really proud of it. I hope next year she will grow more.
That's our goal, right?
Yeah.
Grow, grow, grow. Not grow, but grow.
Yeah.
Grow and grow.
I agree. Yeah.